my word for it. This is exactly what Megyn Kelly said yesterday.
We've upset our allies. We've pleased Israel, although now they're upset there's a ceasefire. We've upset the American base. The Trump coalition that got him elected is completely fractured and in smithereens. And he doesn't care, Piers, because he doesn't care about the Republican Party. He cares about himself. If Trump had to get reelected, he probably would have handled this a little differently. But he doesn't care that the Republicans are going to lose the midterms. I think he thought that was a foregone conclusion. And I don't think he cares that J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio wins the presidency next time around. I think there's a piece of Trump that would like to say, I'm the only one who could do it. The Republican Party's nothing without me. And the rest of us are going to be around to pick up the pieces.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into this. That was Megyn Kelly on Piers Morgan, and she's dooming. And I'm like, Megyn, what are you doing? Like, this is the same Megyn Kelly who was at Fox News going after Trump on women's issue back in 2016. Then she left Fox. Then she comes back around trying to act pro-Trump because Trump was working out. And now she's back on Piers Morgan trashing the movement. Like, at what point do we just admit that Megyn Kelly goes wherever the wind blows? She goes wherever the attention is. Whatever take gets the most clicks that week, that's the take she's running with. And here's what really got me. She said Trump doesn't care about the Republican Party. And I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, Megyn, that's kind of the point. That's literally why people voted for him, because the Republican Party before Trump was a disaster. And that's not just me saying that. Steven Crowder did an entire breakdown on this, and honestly, I think it's one of the best segments I've ever seen in a while, because he goes through every single Republican candidate and leader before Trump and just lays it out. Let's hear him.
I understand that perspective, but let me present something to you. There really was no Republican coalition as you know it right now before Donald Trump. I think people, we compare very often, go like, well, you would rather have Kamala Harris. Let's compare President Trump, J.D. Vance, people like Rubio, notable people in the Republican Party right now, this administration, to other Republicans, not just Democrats. Do you remember how crappy it was? Need I remind you, Mitt Romney? Ugh. Mitt Romney won a primary. Do you guys know that? He was the candidate.
That unbuttered biscuit?
Yes, Mitt Romney. By the way, that guy voted to impeach Trump twice.
Wow.
And back then, of course, you thought that was betrayal because it was Donald Trump. It was a witch hunt. He also, by the way, was the one who created the blueprint for Obamacare in Massachusetts, right? Romney Care. And I will say, of course, it's different to do it on a state basis, but this guy has proven himself to be a leftist on many issues. And he even admitted, without Romney Care, I don't think we would have Obamacare. And then if you want to compare, because right now people are saying the base is fractured and Donald Trump is a betrayer, really just because of Iran. Can we be clear about that? It's really because of Iran. That's why people are saying he's betrayed his base.
Yeah.
And we need to oust him and find someone better. Let's compare the foreign policy. Remember, Mitt Romney has almost never met some kind of foreign intervention that he didn't like. And in 2012, he was not just talking about Iran, but he brought up Russia. What?
Iran is the greatest national security threat we face. Russia does continue to battle us in the UN time and time again. I have clear eyes on this. I'm not going to wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to Russia or Mr. Putin. And I'm certainly not going to say to him, I'll give him more flexibility after the election.
Iran today has never been closer to a nuclear weapons capability. It has never posed a greater danger to our friends, our allies, and us, and has never acted less deterred by America, as was made clear last year when Iranian agents plotted to assassinate the Saudi ambassador in our nation's capital. And yet when millions of Iranians took to the streets in June 2009, when they demanded freedom from a cruel regime that threatens the world, when they cried out, are you with us or are you with them? The American president was silent.
And the point I'm making here is he certainly would be no better on Iran. Also, he wouldn't have the same kind of leadership if you look at his track record as a senator, as governor. You think he would have had Roe v. Wade? You think you would have had the landmark Supreme Court case that we've had? Do you think you would have seen the media be highlighted for the sham that it is?
Yeah, exposed.
Do you think he would have pushed back against big tech? Or do you think it would have been same old, same old? This guy was a spineless wiener. Those are the people waiting in the wings. The coalition was created because President Trump, for all of his flaws, brought something different to the table. Throwing it away would be throwing away the biggest, probably most diverse coalition that the conservative movement or Republican Party has seen in decades. Do I need to remind you? Before that, we had John McCain. John McCain. He's the guy, by the way, who struck down the ACA, that repeal, in like a midnight vote. He co-authored climate legislation with Joe Lieberman. If you guys remember, he was part of the Gang of Eight that backed this path to legalization for illegals, basically citizenship. Not to mention, when we're going back to foreign policy, if Donald Trump is the worst on foreign policy, this guy has said, President Trump has made clear we want to do this swiftly, violently, and get out. These other people like John McCain, they never even seem to think of that. He never met a war that he didn't like. Here he is singing about it.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomb Iran. Bomb, 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 bomb. Anyway.
Yeah, you know, it needs a little bit of work.
He didn't really finish the joke.
No, he didn't. He didn't believe it.
You got to commit to the bit, bro.
You got to commit to it. Paul Ryan. Ugh. First off, the worst cover of any magazine ever. Paul Ryan was at Men's Fitness with him doing like his 8-pound dumbbells. It was just embarrassing, and his hairy twig legs.
He's got two first names.
Yeah, don't like him. He was also part of the Gang of Eight. Gang of Eight, path to citizenship. Refused to fund a border wall. By the way, when Republicans could have done it, just to be clear. When people complain about executive orders, they say they can be undone. Okay, the alternative is we have had times where the Republican Party controlled House and Senate and didn't do anything. Sometimes you guys need to delineate your grievances with the Republican Party refusing to do the bidding of those who voted for them and President Trump's mandate and agenda.
That's right.
So at that point, when you have control over the House and you still can't get it, well, an executive order is better than nothing. See the reduction from 96 to 99% at the border. We effectively have a secure border for the first time. You want to compare Donald Trump to Paul Ryan on foreign policy? It doesn't get any better. You can check all the references. We provide them every single show. He supported drone strikes against al-Qaeda around the world. I mean, unprecedented number of drone strikes. Supported sending troops to Syria to secure chemical weapons. I'm not saying that all of these things, or certainly individual strikes, were inappropriate, but the pattern is they supported all of it. You cannot find a Republican. And by the way, I know people saying Thomas Massey. You know what? We had a Massey.
Whatever.
Ron Paul,
This is a
Rand
good
Paul.
point.
We had a libertarian prime. I've had them on the show. We also do have to live in the real world. And that doesn't mean that you're compromising and encouraging bad behavior, because what I'm telling you is the bad behavior, the disloyalty from the Republican Party, the McCains, the Romneys, the Ryans, the Eric Cantors of the world, they led to Trump as a better answer. Is it a perfect answer? No, but it's a much better answer. Anyone who's lived through it, would you agree with that? If you had to pick Romney, McCain, Paul Ryan, or President Trump, J.D. Vance, who would you pick?
I'm curious, do you agree with Stephen Crowder here?
Where is Paul now, you may ask? Well, we tracked him down. You can do it. Paul can help.
He just looks like a guy who works at Home Depot.
Yeah, pretty much. He really does.
Yeah.
He looks like a guy who goes to Home Depot but doesn't know how to use the things.
Yeah.
No, he looks like he works at Home Depot, but they didn't hire him.
Exactly.
They're like, hey, Mr. Ryan, we told you you cannot be here.
Yeah, and you can't wear that apron.
Yeah,
it confuses
well,
the customers.
I brought it from home.
You know, most multivitamins are crap. Proprietary blends of stuff you don't need. It's not even what's on the label. That's why we created Foundation Daily. Clinically effective ingredients at their clinically effective doses. Vitamins A through zinc, plus curcumin, turmeric, and garlic to help you with some aches and pains. Everything
Crowder always puts a lot of effort into his ad.
you need, nothing you don't. Plus, you can get a certificate of analysis on every batch sold, so what's on the label is exactly what you're getting. Go to foundationdaily.com to start your subscription today. Foundation. It's a knockout.
Such a good reminder of how bad the candidates have been.
Oh, we get it. It gets even worse because these are we wanted to go with the president, vice presidential candidates. Mitch McConnell.
Ugh.
Okay, that's a potential alternative. And I know you'll say, well, Donald Trump has been an ally with Mitch McConnell when he is useful. To be clear,
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell said that former Vice President Joe Biden won 2020, called January 6th an insurrection. By the way, that gave cover to the corrupt, lawless Democrats who jailed people for nothing more than a walking tour. 2008 voted for the $700 billion TARP Wall Street bailout. On foreign policy, again, if we're saying that this is the reason, the deal breaker, Donald Trump's approach on Iran, over which he has been incredibly consistent, let's compare it to Mitch McConnell. He declared Ukraine aid #1 priority for the United States. He prioritized Ukrainian security above American border security. You guys understand that's what's waiting in the wings, not just is it better than Democrats? Is it better than every Republican we had really in this century? Mitch McConnell recently appeared on Piers Morgan, by the way, had this to say about his upbringing.
Tell me about your early years.
Hey, come on. That's one of the founding fathers, guys.
Yes, exactly.
Very
Good
nice.
for his age.
John Boehner, right?
It's Boehner.
Maybe a decent guy.
He's crying somewhere.
Horrible in office. He was repeatedly cutting deals with Obama. You want to talk compromises? The stripping Tea Party members. Again, the Tea Party was designed to try and bring the GOP back to being limited government, to being actually conservative. He stripped Tea Party members of committee assignments on foreign policy. Let's compare him there. Again, since this is the big betrayal. Of course he supported the Iraq War. Of course he supported military strikes in Syria. We need to be presented with a better alternative because we're looking at not just Democrats, but a 180 in the Republican Party. Well, okay, what would we pivot to? Eric Cantor.
I forgot about him.
I remember I was there at one of his speaking engagements one time. I didn't go because I knew he was speaking. I was blindsided and I left. Supported path to citizenship, right? Dreamers. Remember that? This is the betrayal. Donald Trump was an answer to the betrayal. That's why so many people, I think Ann Coulter said, Donald Trump could perform an abortion in the middle of 6th Avenue and I would still vote for him if he secured the border.
Yeah.
It was a quote to that effect because we had seen Republicans for so long basically be Democrats light. On foreign policy, of course, you can look at Eric Cantor, supported U.S. military intervention in Syria, pretty much across the board. So I say this because right now people are saying, we're going to lose the midterms. And it's because Donald Trump is the betrayer. Now, it doesn't mean that he can't be a betrayer if other people have been worse betrayers. But I don't think that he has. We don't have a longer track record of anyone that I'm aware of on any individual policy than President Trump on Iran. We have that luxury, like I've said, because he was a celebrity before he was president. You probably wouldn't find Eric Cantor's stance on Iran in the 90s, in the 80s. Mitt Romney, maybe. John McCain, I mean, that guy was ancient, so maybe. But unlikely, most of these politicians. Donald Trump was in the public eye. People can say they disagree with it. They cannot say that he said or in any way implied that he would be soft on Iran or that he would continue the JCPOA. So if he's a betrayer, what's the alternative? And yes, I do think living in the real world matters because you're looking at Democrats or you're looking at same old from the Republican Party. This is the answer.
That's right.
Is it perfect? No. I wouldn't even say baby steps. It's a step in the right direction because it's a step away from Romney, McCain, Cantor, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell. You cannot convince me that Donald Trump is the same as Mitt Romney or John McCain.
That's right.
It's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
And I prefer one. So I would just advise that people be very aware of the decisions you make, the rhetoric out there, right? It will have an effect. And you will end up with exactly who you deserve.
That's right. That's true.
And unfortunately, that's probably going to be for them Thomas Massie. And he's not going to win.
Zero chance.
No, it's not going to happen. You don't want that guy as president of the United States. And what I really hope happens is when, and I pray this happens, a good resolution to this conflict, everybody gets to see us move back, get out of there, make sure that we have this thing dealt with for a while. All the people running around saying 25th him and everybody else, either they come out and say, thank God that happened. Maybe I was a little too concerned. Maybe I ran a little bit too far ahead there. And they apologize, or we never listen to you again. I'm sorry. Like, you can't go then down that road where I'm just going to keep splitting the base for no reason.
When people say, it's the same, Democrats and Republicans. Right now, we're specifically highlighting
I hear it all the
other
time.
Republicans versus this administration. Let's just go back to Democrats and Republicans. It's the same. Okay. Tell me it's the same living in Florida as it is in New York.
Right.
On taxes, First Amendment, Second Amendment, deportations. Tell me it's the same living in Texas as it is in Minnesota. Tell me there's no difference. Those of you living in Texas, living in places like Florida, who have chosen those states, many of you left places like New York or California. Those of you living there now, tell me that you would have no problem if tomorrow they enacted the exact same policies as New York, as Minneapolis, as California.
It's laughable. I'm one of those guys.
He
I
knows,
came
yeah.
from Washington, 4 years in Washington, in the Seattle area, and now I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
Night and day.
Of course, you can and should expect better. That's why President Trump won. But to say that it's the same and to not acknowledge that it would be 3, 4, 5 steps back, just be careful what you wish for. Oh, you're still here?
So before you jump on the Megyn Kelly bandwagon and start saying it's all over and the base is in smithereens, just remember, who would you rather have instead of Trump? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree with Steven Crowder, or do you think Megyn Kelly is actually genuinely concerned? Drop it below. I'm going to read every single one of the comments, as I always do. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in the next one.